question.
I have a question. We have a number of people within the ward and within the city of Ottawa who are living below the poverty line. Many of them have children between the ages of 6 and 12 who cannot, there is no bus pass for them. Many of these people are using taxis to go to get their groceries just because it costs too much for a bus fare.
Right. The community pass?
Community pass is different, but
Okay.
will you advocate for a bus pass for children? OC Transport keeps on saying that there's a reduced ridership. This could increase ridership, and it also, we have single parents or young moms who are taking the bus, but once their kid turns 6, what are they going to do? They're going to go and get a car because they got to pay for their kid.
Exactly.
And, you know, they're using their food money on taxis. We have the food bank in Bellscorners here that is at risk of losing their location and are at present time looking for a location.
Lots of them here.
And my other question in this is how, if you guys are elected, one of you, if one of you is elected, we've heard many comments putting down the mayor, putting down other councillors. How can we expect you to work with them with all the comments and things that you've made against them?
Great question. My answer is yes and yes. But Catherine, what you need to do is you need to get a quorum of councillors to realize that is an issue to present a motion. I would be happy to present a motion to council to do that because that is so small in the budget of, it's just a small regulation change. It's not even something, it could be done at the transit committee. So whoever the chair of the transit committee is, I would work with Diane Deans if she remains that, and I would just, that's a check mark. Thank you.
Transit commission turned it down.
Yeah, no, what you've identified is an incongruity in the age versus classification of the passes, and that can easily be fixed.
Thank you, Guy. Scott.
Yeah, I would of course support any motion like that. I've been actually fortunate enough to be on the UPass with Carlton, and I don't understand how we could have any point where transit isn't accessible like that. So of course I would support that by any means. And as for the second question, I think you may have noticed I'm the only one who hasn't yet insulted another councillor.
Yes, sir.
Wait, Craig's next. Are you going to moderate too? Craig, you're next.
Okay. Sorry, the question was that I support totally improvements to public transit. None of my daughters, I think my many daughters, no, they don't want to live in Bellscorners. It's too far away. You can't get by here without. Hey, Jennifer. Anyone else from the media here? This could be a good. Anyway, they don't want to live here because, Scott, that's the main reason you're running, right? You had to get from Bellscorners to Carlton on bus. And we need more investments in public transit, not wider roads. All our money went into expanding the intersection, so like who goes to that intersection and finds people a small period in a day? So that's where
That wasn't the question. The question was.
yes, I support more investments in public transit for everyone. For everyone. You included it now and every, yes, I support that. But where's the money gonna come from? Can I address that? Or I don't have time, I guess.
It's not a money issue.
It is a, it's
Thanks,
not a
that's
money
time.
issue.
No, that's not a money
Thank you,
It's gonna be
that's
free
time.
to give these people
That's
back.
time. We have another question. Go ahead, Craig.
I've been trying for years to get the definition of core services both from Mr. Watson and from Rick Sorrell. They seem to use it in a lot of their lingo when they're talking about financing this and that. They say core services, but they never define it. What is your definition of core services?
Pick my garbage up every week. That's a core service.
Yeah, but in terms of like, what are they? And let's define them, and that's where we should put our money.
Okay.
Transportation,
Great.
garbage,
Great. Okay, 1 minute. The roads that I drive on. The health care that I need when I need it. The police, fire, and ambulance 1, 2, and 3. Because that's what we're basically paying for. We've got a really good service in the city. We've got a lot of things to be proud of. Other than that, clear my roads, make sure that I'm not unsafe. Pick up my garbage every week so I don't have maggots and I don't have a smelly. You're paying $3,600 a year, most of you, in taxes, on a $2.5 billion budget. And Jim's talking about $3 million, your taxes are gonna go up because you want weekly garbage back?
Or service.
That is balderdash.
It's gonna be free, weekly garbage is gonna be free.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
it is.
Nye.
When you do the 3 Rs, if somebody asks me about the 3 Rs, I'll tell them about the 3 Rs.
Thank you.
Sorry, I don't care,
Going back to weekly garbage.
Thank you, next.
the weekly garbage thing, wow, okay, well, I don't know, it's obviously a hot button issue. The guy is hoping to ride the weekly garbage thing to power, but I'm not convinced that everyone thinks we should kill the green bin program. I'm convinced there's no such thing as global warming, and we can bring back weekly garbage. We already have weekly garbage. It's called the green bin. No, seriously, raise your hand, please, anybody, media people, do you think we should away with the green bin program? Global warming doesn't exist. Okay, be honest. Be honest. Who thinks
Incineration. Incineration.
That's another debate.
Mike's gonna talk about incineration.
How about we stop making so much garbage in the first place? And how about we have some honest government? The workers for the councillor are not allowed to campaign for the councillor. And I don't want to point the finger at Rick, because all of this.
Questions about garbage?
Meeting. About garbage.
Core service. Six of them. Six of them.
My bad. Thank you, that's time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Scott, core services.
You know, I think Guy was pretty much spot on. The only one I would like to add to that, and I'm a big time in favor of this, libraries. I think they're a great community service. They're a chance for you to get out. It's a location for the citizens. It's a location of knowledge, of learning. If we can get those get a better central library to begin with, but look at improving all the libraries, I think that's a core service, and that's all I'm going to add to Guy's list. I think it's a big one.
Thank you, Scott. You can run next, sir.
I go after municipal councils on this every time. The snow cleaning in the city is despicable. It's disgraceful. It's awful. The snow falls, it sits and it sits and it sits, and you have to go over those snowbanks. What about all the old ladies with the cane to the men with the walkers or whatever it is? Doesn't get cleaned. They say, oh, we have a bunch of guys working over here. Well, the snow fell all over the place, so let's get all the streets cleaned up now. But a little bit here, a little bit there. We wait and we wait and wait. I don't pay property taxes for that. I want it done today, the day the snow fell. I don't want all these traffic accidents, because that's the reason why everybody here is paying more for auto insurance. There's too many people out there driving on ice and snow, and who shouldn't be, and they get into accidents. And that's why the insurance, our auto insurance, has gone up so much in this problem.
So what's your
it's not just
question?
Ottawa.
What's your question, sir?
So my question is, what are you going to do with improving snow cleaning in this city?
Thank
This is
you.
not just Bellscorners. This is the whole city. Sorry. Not mad at you.
Scott, would you like to go? Who would like to go first on that? The questions about improving snow services?
I have a redirect. How long does it take to get the snow off your street right now, sir?
Go for
I
it.
shovel my block and I'm done.
Okay, no, to plow your street, how long does it take to get done? Right now?
2 days.
2 days, 3 days. One of my neighbors is here, we are in Qualcomm, we get our snow done the next day. So, you have a dispatch system. You have trucks that are $250,000 with 6 levers on them. They're really cool. The driver gets $53 an hour. $53 an hour for overtime, because it's a very specialized job. I have an AZ license. I am a truck driver. It's very hard to drive a snowplow. And I'm not going to defend the budget. When it snows is a key thing. It snows on the weekend, it costs us a lot more. They look at temperature. John Manconi does a pretty darn good job. So you know what? I'm going to offend Manconi on that, but you know what? Maybe it's basically where you are in the first and second list. There's 3 lists at the City of Ottawa on dispatch. Primary, secondary, and third. So you might want to talk to your current councillor about that. 3 lists.
That's
So if you're 2 days, you're on the 3rd list, sir.
Yeah.
Right? We have somebody who knows the list?
Yeah.
Oh, you don't?
We're sure we're on third.
Okay, that's my answer.
Thank you, that's time.
Well, I don't think the council should decide how.
Scott, would you like to answer that about snow removal?
You know, short of throwing money at the problem, I don't see how we're looking at a solution. I think we could see where we're going with it with money-wise. I know I was speaking with the QB guys yesterday, and they were talking about their plans for their own, what do they call them? They were employees for when it's getting too busy, they can bring in their own people at cheaper cost than going to outside sources, other than money and just us bringing a voice and saying, you know what, Bellscorners needs this service. I go 3 days living on a crescent. It goes 2-3 days easy without us getting snow removal. That's the only way I can see it, is a voice and money, and I personally like to bring the voice because money is always an issue.
You gotta look at that map, folks.
Thank you.
You gotta
Guy,
look
you've
at that
already
map.
answered
We're
the question.
detached from
You've
the
answered
city.
the question.
There's three,
Guy, you've already had your turn to speak. Craig.
just geography.
I just want to make a comment
Yes, sir.
with regard to the snow cleaning. I've been in Bellscorners since 1981, and the service with the team was fabulous.
Yeah.
And great. Everything about the patients, right down the toilet, and they're charging us more for the same service. And on our street is a bus route, and we're lucky to get it cleaned the next day.
Rick would love that comment. He sure talks
Craig,
a
you
lot
have
about
1
the
minute to answer.
Well, I agree there are serious problems with snow removal, but I don't like guys suggesting that phoning the council to bump us up, you know? It shouldn't be the council decision, you know, like really, that's ridiculous. It should be the experts done in the most rational way. You should look at his database and decide whether or not you're supporters, and decide whether or not you deserve to get the snow, or whether or not you deserve to get the communications. That's ridiculous. But as far as snow removal goes, it was better in the days of McKean. So everyone agrees with that. Everyone here loves McKean. And Councillor Charlie quotes us as Mr. McKean, so that means you love Councillor Charlie. But it doesn't follow. This is not, we're no longer in McKean. Let's deal with the situation as it is. Now let me just talk about the cost. You talked about how much these city workers make, right? Can I talk about that?
I'm not questioning how much people make.
That's part of the snow removal thing. Someone mentioned it, right?
Very expensive to pick up snow.
Yes, okay, Guy Richard. I went, Scott, I went to the meeting too with the inside and outside workers, and, you know.
That's time, thank you, Craig.
That's the most important part.
Sorry. There's a woman at the back with a question. Or?
Hi, I'd like to ask a question about childcare subsidies. Up until recently, when full-day kindergarten was rolled out, people would have their children in half-day kindergarten, and then they would have half-day subsidized spaces if they were eligible. But now, people put their children into full-day kindergarten, either before and after school care. But the Minister of Education has declared that none of those spaces will be subsidized unless a child has grandfathered through a subsidized spot through daycare already. So I can tell you, because you know everything about subsidized daycare up there. Daycare subsidies work through the city, actually. They work through city government. And so I'm wondering what the city officials are willing to do for the people who possibly could have had subsidized childcare for their 4 and 5-year-olds if they had left them in full-day daycare, and now have to pay $600 a month to the school board for those spots that are no longer subsidized. So I'm wondering if any of you have any kind of plan to approach the province. It would be either the province or the school board, basically the same thing, to see if there's a way to help some of those parents out.
Was that part of the download issue from the province when they changed that? Because we are, correct me if I'm wrong, they download part of that cost and we manage that, correct? It's part of the social services umbrella, is that correct?
Previously,
Yes,
yes.
okay. And now the model has changed, how?
Well, now kids go to full-day school, and the school board has before and after school daycare on site, and those spaces cost $600 a month.
So,
And they are not subsidized unless, in many cases, a daycare has the contract to run that before and after school care in the school, in which case that subsidized spot would still exist for a child if they already held it.
so
But
don't,
a new child in the system that would move to the city will not be eligible for any kind of subsidy.
I see, okay.
Guy, did you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I thought we just spent $2 billion on something called full-day kindergarten. Wasn't that supposed to solve it? I don't have
No,
any
that's
children, so
what they
I'm trying to gather information here, sorry, I'm trying to gather information.
When do you think school goes from? It's 6.5 hours a day.
Right,
The people who need the subsidized spots also need to work 8-hour days.
exactly.
They don't have, so the Minister of Education went to say, yes, but we've saved you all this money. But they haven't saved these people money, because in fact, they don't have subsidized daycare anymore.
So let me ask you, as a subject matter expert on this subject, what would you do to fix it? Because what would you do to fix it? What needs to happen?
Well, first of all, I'm interested to know if any of you know anything about the daycare subsidized.
No, that's
system.
what, you know a lot about it. Tell us what you need. Tell me what you need.
Let us answer. Let someone.
Great.
I want to know what you know about it, because you seem to know a lot about garbage. You
No,
seem
I
to
don't know a lot about that
snow
subject.
removal.
I'm sorry.
What do you know about childcare?
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Madam, can I just ask you another question? Can I ask you another question? Could you please tell me, what would you do? What do you think needs to be done to fix it? Please tell us. You know
Lobby
the
the
subject.
province.
I'd like you guys to.
No, that's fine. Let everybody hear about that. Everybody knows the issue.
Well, I'm not an expert on it. I've come to ask you a question.
Right.
Apparently you don't know anything.
Yeah,
about
that's
the
correct.
system.
I would have to gain more
Sorry, ma'am,
information.
if you could just phrase it as a simple question, is it possible you could do that?
I did. I said, are you willing to approach the province about this issue?
I'd have to gather more information on it, understand the complexities of where the download changed and how the model changed, and then I'd have to figure out where that gap has to be bridged.
Okay, Craig?
Can I answer that? Okay, you're asking a guy who's a conservative, so do you think they're in favor of child support? So, it's conservative, right? I would definitely lobby the province, because childcare is very important to me, and I could go on and on about it. I know what you're talking about, and I think affordable childcare, but it's really a federal issue, but at the municipal level, yes, if I were elected, I would definitely lobby the province for more support. I went to the debate last night in Bayward, and there's a lot of people there. It's a huge issue for them. And maybe it's not for you people. We're relatively well off here in College Work. But in Bayward, it's a huge issue. So I'm totally in favor of a program where all parents have affordable childcare and not the whole day kindergarten thing. I think that was a mistake.
But can't somebody in the school trustees be able to push that?
Yeah, maybe if you could speak with the trustees after, they might be able to.
Yeah, that's very excellent idea, actually.
Okay.
Like,
Scott, but I want to give the floor to Scott because he hasn't had a chance.
Your question was, would we be willing to lobby on behalf of that? Of course. That's what I want to do, is help the people get what they need. Can I say I'm experienced on the matter? Not so much, but I am more than willing to listen to those in need and take that to the province and see what we can do with that, because it's absurd that anyone would be put in that position. It's absolutely
And the reason
required.
I'm asking you guys is because you view that it's the city that handles childcare subsidy. But because the before and after school daycare is in the school system now, it is not covered. So that's why I'm asking you to start taking a look at the before and after school daycare.
Well, I think we should start taking a look at $320 billion in being provincial deficit.
Okay.
You're gonna see a
You
lot
would
more
advise
downloads.
it, you would already.
You're gonna see a lot more downloads.
You've already had a chance to speak on that. We have another question up front here.
Catherine mentioned
I have a question too, which is done, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, you're next, absolutely.
Catherine mentioned when she was speaking about FAMSAC losing their quarters to police service between 60 and 80 families in Bellscorners a month.
Right there. Alex Lewis is gonna solve that.
And I was going to
Yeah,
ask
he's-
Alex,
Sorry, what was your question?
I'm sorry,
can we find space for them in one of these empty boxes that we have right now?
what are you looking
We've
for?
already talked about it.
FAMSAC.
For the, food number?
Yeah, for the food bank, they're out of where they are, and they have no place to go. There's service between 60 and 80 families in Bellscorners a month.
Is that the
What's the current square footage? What's the current square footage over there? Do you know?
It's not at all.
Is it a church basement?
It's church basement?
Okay, so your question is,
Is there anything anybody can do to help them so that they can stay in Bellscorners and service?
Talk to me after.
Okay, thanks a lot.
My answer to that would be, if you elect me on October the 27th, I will immediately work with Lewis and some vacant landlord space, and I will get you a reasonable amount of square foot in an accessible location. It is handicapped equipped, and you will have a zero-cost food bank, because of all that food bank also generates business into the mall. The amount of malls that are around here right now, and the amount of vacancy rate, I'll make that commitment to you right now, that I will get you free, Alex and I will get you free retail space for the food bank within 6 months of me being elected.
I'll do my best.
No, that's my commitment.
I will do my best.
Thank you. Scott, did you want to answer that?
Well, I can't see why we couldn't make that happen. For sure, we have the space.
The real world, that's why it's.
Let's help
I don't
people.
understand why it's
That's
a
people
problem.
helping people, and there's landlords that
They're
have
being evicted,
absolutely.
and nobody's stepping forward to do anything.
It's not a problem, it's, okay, finding the space is 110% not a problem. Finding the landlord, who would be willing to do that, that is a whole different ballgame. And listen, I am, like I said, I am more than happy, guy or not, I am more than happy
Thanks,
to
Alan.
work with you.
Craig, did
Okay,
you want
let's
to add
end
anything quickly? Did you want?
There is coffee, there's a couple of kids here and here, if anybody wants some.
Can we have a 1-minute break, maybe?
Yeah, let's hold it.
No, I don't think we have time for a break, Craig, so.
People will leave.
Craig, did you want to just say yes to that as well?
Yeah.
Okay. And I promised this guy that he would ask the next question, so.
Craig, done?
Go ahead.
Quick clarification, have you approached the counselor on this subject already?
Not yet, we just,
That's all I'm gonna, thanks.
Okay. Go ahead, sir.
25 years I've lived in here, and I'm still waiting for something to happen. We got a new intersection, and there's nothing happening there. Please, tell me,
Accidents are happening.
seriously.
So your question is, you'd like more
I
excitement?
wanted to ask Rick Shirelli something, but of course I can't do that. I've heard a few things tonight, and Guy mentioned something about these 3 Rs. I'd like to hear that now, if you don't mind. No, I don't think so.
3 hours, how long, we have 1 minute?
Yeah.
3 hours relates to renegotiate, repurpose, and, what's the third one? Renegotiate, repurpose. And okay, well, let's talk about renegotiate first. The Orca World contract has to be negotiated. We can't cancel it because we need to reach a 60% diversion target to get to the road to incineration. Therefore, that's right, the rural referendum is the third one. What we're going to propose in the next week or so, this is off-the-record information, is the rural-urban divide in this city is incredible. I'm not going to get into it right now. But you know what's going to happen, folks? We need to repurpose the trucks that are 15% going back to Orca World empty because they're on the rural roads, and I have the data on that. And we're going to repurpose and bring those trucks in and provide weekly garbage in the core, in the suburbs. And we're going to basically allow the rural people to do what they've done for 100 years, and that's compost. Because they don't want the rural thing. And if you think that green is green, and you've got $200,000 trucks driving up and down the biggest city in Canada at 2,700 kilometers, and going back to Orca World from Rideau Grosvenor and Stittsville with 15% in their hopper,
Thank you,
that
guys.
is a crime.
That's time.
And we need to renegotiate it, repurpose the trucks,
Thank you,
return to
that's
weekly
time.
garbage. Return to weekly
Thank
garbage.
you. Sir, was that question just for Guy, or did you want to ask the other?
You know what, if they have some Irish themselves, let's hear it.
Okay, I thought you meant the 3 Rs like reduce, reuse, recycle, but it's not the.
No, the new 3 Rs, yeah, the new 3 Rs. Because we're in a contract,
Okay,
it's
No,
way
you've
too
had your
long.
chance to speak. Go ahead, Craig.
the new 3 Rs, it's a rural thing, so I'm really amazed that Guy here, like his 4 big things with his property owners, like Michael, are you in that, like, property owners? Yeah.
No.
You're not? Well, anyway, you must know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
So Guy, you're coming here to Bellscorners, you're saying one of your 4 key issues is we've got to stop spreading the sludge on the fields out in the rural areas.
No,
That's a
that's not
rural
what I'm here
issue.
to talk
Let
about
me
all today,
explain.
Craig.
This is a very conservative rural area here in Bellscorners, right? We always vote for the conservatives here. But we're in ridings where all the rurals are in with us in Bellscorners. This is College Ward. College Ward is Bellscorners all the way over to Maryville. So rural issues are not our big priority here, guys. So
Craig, I wouldn't say that, my friend.
Rural issues are, who really cares about them spreading sludge on, the fields out in the rural areas that actually lives in College Ward? For whom is that a big issue?
You brought it up, Craig, so it's
You
obvious.
got your chance to speak.
Why-
That's time. I'm gonna allow Scott to,
I'm not sure I understand the question. You
It's
said,
about the rural
you
referendum.
don't have to answer, Scott.
I'm not sure what you're getting at, to be honest. Ours for railroad, we've
No,
got
it's
two
not fair,
there.
it's not
I
fair,
don't
it's not fair to
know
you, because it's
what
a
we're
plank,
looking
it's
at.
a plank that we're talking about.
Okay.
You don't.
Did anyone else have any questions?
It's not fair to you.
Okay, we'll take maybe 2 more, and then we can have a time where you guys, before you go to bed, you can talk to the candidates before. This is fine, I don't know, than Netflix. Okay, go ahead.
This is the last chance.
I've lived in this community since 1962. I've seen Moody Drive as a dirt road, macadamized road, a paved road. I've seen it stretch all the way from Carling Avenue, all the way out to the far bar. And then somebody got the brilliant idea of blocking off the corner between